Hello, you're watching Tech24. I'm James Creedon. On this week's show, Facebook faces up to a major challenge. We'll take a look back over the latest crisis for the social network giant. Will Zuckerberg overcome, or will Facebook go the way of MySpace? And we'll take you to Iceland, where researchers have been digging amid ice and rock to uncover new strains of bacteria, all in a bid to develop the next generation of antibiotics. And thanks for watching. Now, first up, Facebook has been rattled by possibly its biggest crisis yet. Users have been abandoning the social network, stocks have plummeted, and Dan and Jake Helgar has been poring over the crisis. It's about data, and it's about data protection and where our data ends up. Tell us more.
Well, it started in 2014 when an academic named Alexander Kogan created an application called This Is Your Digital Life, which was essentially your personality predictor. Now, you needed a Facebook login to use this app. After taking permissions from Facebook, he managed to pull data of the users, which were around 270,000 of them. But not only that, when the users gave consent to sharing their profiles, they also gave consent to sharing their friends' profiles. So this created a vast pool of data amounting to almost 50 million profiles.
Right.
And the problem started when apparently the academic violated Facebook's principle when he shared this data with a third party, which in this case happens to be Cambridge Analytica, a data mining firm, which is known for running digital political campaigns.
Right. So it's really put the spotlight on data security, who ends up harvesting data that we willingly provide to Facebook, and perhaps in somewhat a naive manner because we don't realize where it could end up.
Yeah.
And so it's put I suppose the spotlight too on Facebook's responsibility to track where the data ends up.
And interestingly, they knew about this violation for 2 years.
So it's a problem of trust. It's a problem of trust, user trust with Facebook, which has plummeted like the stock value. Now, the second issue, which has been kind of bubbling away for the last few months, is the, some would say, addictive design of the social network. Not just Facebook, but many others, but we're talking about Facebook for now. Tell us more.
That's right. In fact, some former executives have come out strongly against Facebook. One of them, Chamath Palihapitiya, says that it was ripping apart the social fabric of how our society works. Then there was a statement by, not a statement, but a tweet by WhatsApp co-founder Brian Acton, who started this hashtag #DeleteFacebook, urging his followers to get away from Facebook.
So a lot of them have been talking about the way in which they designed the social network to keep you on it for as long as possible, to distract you, to kind of suck you in, if you like, in a way that gambling machines also do with dopamine hits.
That's right. And this is psychologists have also mentioned that it's basically social networks. They are tools for confirming your biases, and that's how they act.
So I guess what we're realizing more and more is we're users of social media, but we're also, I guess, being used, and we're being, it does have addictive practices built in. Just very quickly, the third crisis that we decided to focus on is for journalism.
That's right. I mean, there's a dilemma here because news sites, they want to generate revenue, and for that, many of them have this subscription-based model. But at the same time, they want to be on Facebook because that's where the numbers are. I mean, more than 2 billion users, but on Facebook, you get everything for free. So that's the dilemma that the news sites have.
And we haven't even spoken about the fake news, the crisis that Facebook also dealt with. So lots of challenges for the social network, and we'll have to track how they handle all of that. Now, moving on, in the world of medicine, the race is on to create new antibiotics to replace those that have become less effective. Increasingly, resistance to antibiotics means the search must continue for new molecules. This report is by our sister station France 2, narrated by Nick Rushworth.
It is tough terrain, almost hostile to life, swept by icy winds or burnt by volcanic activity. This part of Iceland is where scientists are looking for molecules that could save lives in the future. These American researchers have come to locate microorganisms, plants and molecules to try and create a new class of antibiotics.
Finding a new antibiotic that's going to go into a human is like searching for a needle in a field of haystacks. But the job must be done because we have no choice. We have to do it. The rate at which we're discovering new drugs has fallen drastically, and so we have to go to these remote places to try and find things that really have not been found before.
The situation is urgent. There has been no new class of antibiotic for more than 30 years. Antibiotics are made from molecules found in plants, fungi, or good bacteria, and help fight the bad bacteria that cause infections and disease. But because the same antibiotics have been used for 3 decades, microbes have become more resistant, the drugs less effective. 700,000 deaths worldwide are linked to resistance to antibiotics. Doctors estimate that figure could rise to 10 million deaths per year in 2050. These 2 Icelandic scientists are helping the team. They know that life that can survive here in such tough conditions has exceptional qualities.
We might find interesting things in France or even just in your backyard. However, I think the diversity of the different landscapes here and the environment makes it maybe a little bit more exciting to look for.
Part of the research includes an icy dip in this water where the tectonic plates of North America and Eurasia meet. There is burning volcanic magma below the sand. The goal is to collect organisms that can survive here. It's estimated millions of living species have not been identified worldwide. Among them, there may be ones that could be used to develop new antibiotics as well as other drugs.
So we've seen how researchers are fighting the battle against resistance and this constant need to develop new antibiotics, which in time will also become redundant. Now, Dhananjay Kadalkar, you've been taking a look at alternatives to antibiotics. One alternative in particular that is becoming quite popular in Eastern European countries. Tell us more.
Well, it's called phage therapy, and it essentially is the deployment of viruses to kill bacteria. It sounds fascinating, right? Viruses killing bacteria, but it's an old theory, it's an old technique. So what happens is that there are certain viruses that are deployed to kill certain bacteria. So these viruses cling onto the bacteria. They release an enzyme that drills a hole in the bacteria. Then the virus, they put some of their DNA in the bacteria for reproduction.
Okay.
And as they start reproducing, the bacterium cell explodes. Okay. And that's how they get rid of the bacteria. And as it explodes, there are more of these phages that cling on to more such bacteria. Now, this, as you mentioned, is being used in some of the Eastern European countries, but it has not been accepted in Western Europe or in the US, because though I must say there are some clinical trials happening and that have already taken place. The interesting part about this therapy is that these phages, they can be found easily in seawater, and you can also have a custom-made cocktail of these phages to treat specific bacteria. And when they are deployed to treat specific bacteria, they don't attack other bacteria. So who knows? I mean,
all right. So increasingly, we're looking for alternatives, basically, and ideally tech alternatives to antibiotics, which will become redundant. Anyway, it's time now for Test 24 on Tech 24. Okay, so we're testing 2 devices this week with a health focus, and Dhananjay Kadalkar has the first device here, which is for epilepsy, right?
Yeah, it's called Neuronaut, and it has been developed by the French startup BioSerenity. Now, it's a wearable wireless device that monitors the activity of heart, brain, and muscles.
Okay, should I try it on? I've been selected as the guinea pig this week.
So that is the headgear, and this is the...
So it goes on, it's something like a swimming cap, right?
Absolutely.
I'm not going to pull it the whole way down because it might get TV makeup on it. We don't want that.
So essentially, there are 21 electrodes in that gear. So that monitors the brain activity. There's 1 electrode that monitors the heart activity, and there are 5 electrodes that monitor muscle activity. Absolutely. So the idea is that this enables quick diagnosis of patients who are suffering from epilepsy. It also enables medical practitioners to track or monitor their conditions in real time.
Okay, but how do these sensors, what's the point of these sensors coming out of the top?
Well, that's the way it is. I mean, it's better to have them jut outside than...
Yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
So, so the whole idea is that it enables quicker diagnosis, quicker monitoring, and that too in real time. So it doesn't matter where you are or where the doctor is. This is done through a dedicated application.
Right.
It's a mobile application. So the moment you put this on, this is a small demonstration. Yep. So you can see the different parameters get shown on the devices. And this is one way of tracking the conditions. The other way is, of course, through a cloud platform. So all the data gets stored on the platform.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, epilepsy, you're trying to monitor yourself to get ahead of a fit.
Absolutely,
and this is going to indicate when you could have a fit, and you can get ahead of it.
Yeah, and the other advantage is that it also saves a lot of time. For example, you spend a lot of time taking appointments, and then you have to physically travel to that place.
Right.
Okay.
We don't have a huge amount of time, so we're going to move on to this device here, which just looks like a regular walking stick to me, but it's a walking stick with a difference, right?
It is a walking stick, but the device is this. The laser emitter. So this is also made for, this is made for patients who suffer from Parkinson's.
Okay.
Now, some Parkinson's patients, they may develop this symptom called freezing. So normally when the patient is walking, that patient may suddenly have this freezing gait.
So how do we get ahead of that?
So in that posture, when there's a gait, normally your knees buckle.
Right.
And as the knees buckle, the cane, it slants. And as the cane slants, it emits a laser. As you can see here, it emits this. There's a laser device inside,
right,
which emits a light.
A line or a light.
Exactly. So that line serves as an obstacle. And the way our neural network works is that the moment our eyes see this obstacle, that neural network, which is not affected by Parkinson's, gets triggered, and it sees an obstacle, and you get the
start
urge, exactly,
right.
to move.
It gets you over the freezing.
Exactly. So
okay,
we've
run out of time, Dan and Jay. Fantastic devices.
And just to conclude, this has been developed by, again, an institute based in Paris called the Brain and Spine Institute.
Fantastic. All right, that's all we have time for this week's episode of Tech 24 on Test 24 on France 24. Do stay tuned.